are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about our current sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. As you well know, if you've been following This is Oklahoma, they've been a huge part of this podcast. So this podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike and here, your host, back with another episode up in Broken Arrow today at an awesome co-working space, which we'll tell you a little bit about. But we are going to talk about moms, however you guys say it. I say it differently, but I can get away with it because I have an accent. But yeah, here with Danielle Melton today to talk about Boss Mom Crew, kind of really cool kind of platform and group that you've developed, and we're going to talk a lot about what that is and what that means to building community around working mums. But before we do, tell us, I guess, a little bit about the place that we're in today.
Yes, well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me on your platform. But yeah, we are here at Co-working Bravely here in Oklahoma. This is one of my favorite spaces to work. I love it not just because it's a co-working space, but it's for women. And as you know, with Boss Mom Crew, I'm all about women empowerment and empowering moms. So yeah, this is just a cool place for us to not just co-work, but to have events. So I've had a couple of events here with Boss Mom Crew. So this is a place that I 100% recommend and love the owner, Sarah. She's phenomenal. And yeah, just she has the same vision as I, which is like changing the world and bringing women together, you know. Yeah. Perfect
place for you guys to hang out and build community, right?
Yes.
So we're in Broken Arrow. Has this place always been home to you?
This has, are you saying Broken Arrow? Or?
I mean, just Tulsa, Broken Arrow area in general.
Actually, I am originally from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
So my dad, we moved here back in 2000. My dad was attending ORU, so he packed us all up, my mom, my siblings, and we came here, like I said, in 2000, and I was 14 years old and have stayed here ever since.
That's I guess a rough year to make a change, right? When you're 14, you already have friends in school. Like I mean, when you want to be a parent or you're moving, I mean, if I was 14 years old and I had to pick up and move from, New York or wherever to Oklahoma, like that must have been tough.
I mean, so there was two pieces to it. So it was a little bit tough to leave a few friends that I had, but it was such a big culture change from where I was. I did grow up in a neighborhood that was a little bit more on the impoverished side. We were in poverty where we were living. A lot of our neighbors didn't have a lot. So my parents did a really good job with, I guess, sheltering us and keeping us, still being children, where we were living. So it was definitely a change to move to Tulsa because of where I came from. So thinking about coming from, I guess what I would call it is the hood, and moving to suburban Oklahoma was definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a welcomed change when you got here?
Yeah, I was definitely welcome to change. I was a little bit nervous due to, the big change, like coming here, not knowing, thinking of like people were saying it was horses and buggies and, this and that. I was like, oh my gosh, are we going backwards? So obviously when I moved here, it was a lot different than what I expected. So a lot more positive than anything.
We probably went to kind of a similar thing then, right? Me coming here and culture shock and everything, and you coming here, and you're right, it's so different, right? Especially, even within the same country, just coming from Buffalo, New York, big city, to, I quote, rural Oklahoma, which, rural compared to obviously where you grew up.
Right.
Not now people think Tulsa's not rural. Well, it probably was compared to when you got here in 2000, right?
It has changed a lot. Yes. A lot of new businesses and buildings, especially on the 71st area. I live over there near that area. So we started off with nothing there, and watching it build was very interesting. So totally different from back in 2000.
Yeah. So you dad packs everybody up and he comes to school down here. What was the reason for him coming to school down here and not anywhere else?
So my dad is a minister as well. So God told him that to move to Oklahoma to pursue his education here at ORU. While he was here, he did receive 2 master's degrees, one in divinity and one in education. So he is currently a teacher, but he also has a nonprofit organization called Esteem, which is helping youth and young children, especially the Black and brown children, with education and other things like tutoring and stuff like that.
So you grew up then as a child of the church, right? With dad being involved in that stuff and a pastor's kid, quote, pastor's kid or whatever it is,
PK.
right? Yeah, PK, What was that like coming to Tulsa and being a part of that and seeing dad go to school and kind of further his education and I guess always strive to be better, right? I mean, not many people who have fathers that have a family want to move you half around the country to pursue education, which is quite a big thing to do.
It is, and I feel like I have my dad's spirit, and he has instilled that into me because of who he is and how he is driven. Like, this is the goal, this is what I'm going to do, and he does it and pursues it. So, what was the question?
Just like how that was, like seeing your dad and growing up, I guess, watching your dad pursue education at an age that, he's a father and he has a family.
Right. I mean, as a child, I didn't understand it as much. I was like, oh, he's still in school. Why is he still in school? And all this stuff. But I mean, I didn't understand the depths of bachelor's and master degrees and things of that nature. So as I grew up and looking back, I'm like, wow, how phenomenal is that? I want to do that too. So the one thing I do want to mention is that my dad, he had the dreams and visions to do certain things. And, my mom, she's the one who kind of stayed with us and had 4 kids. And, she actually put a lot of her dreams to the side in the back burner because, she was a mom.
Sure.
So, seeing that and seeing, my dad go for his dreams and my mom putting hers on pause because of children made me want to do things differently because I'm like, hey, isn't there a way you can be a mom and still pursue for your dreams? So that's kind of what kind of drove me to what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So which we'll definitely get to that because I love that. That's really cool to find out that from that reason that you do what you do today. That's really neat, and I'm sure your mum's super proud. But so where did you go to high school in Tulsa?
I went to Union High School.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that? I mean, that's quite a big high school for this area, but compared to your high school in Buffalo, was that big?
So I left in 8th grade. So yes, Union is much bigger than where I came from. So yeah, we only had maybe 2 8th grade classrooms or 2 or 3. Yeah. I mean, Union has a whole school for just catering to 8th graders. So so it was definitely a difference and pretty shocking. I mean, not just with that, but like, the whole culture of like my school was predominantly African American. Coming here, it was like predominantly Caucasian. So trying to find my footing and finding my place and finding my identity was a challenge in the very beginning. But I was able to find some great friends that we were able to wrap around each other.
Did you dive into, I guess, like the Union athletics and like the whole like we're going to football games and all and be a part? Because I mean, it's a whole it's its own thing, and
that's its own culture and its own. Yes. No, I was actually in drama. Okay. I was one of those drama kids. So from 8th grade being in drama class to high school being in drama. So
so from that, then, do you think? I know you just mentioned previously before we started recording that you went to OSU. What leads you to go to OSU, and what are you thinking? Are you thinking, mentioned drama, you're going to pursue drama at OSU, or was it something else?
No, so I did college a non-traditional way. So I did through TCC, and then OSU Tulsa, and then NSU Broken Arrow for my master's degree. So I have always been in the mindset and the heart of giving with, not just Boss Mom Crew, but as a child. I mean, like I was saying, I did live in a place that had poverty. A lot of our neighbors didn't have much. I would literally take food and clothes from my home to give to others as like a young child. So I've always had that heart for the community and for others. So my bachelor's degree is in human development and family science with a focus on child and family service. So I started my professional career working as a teacher, and then became like a case manager working at like places like DVIS, which is domestic violence, and Tulsa Educare as a family advocate. So I'm just being in that field of helping and serving others. Yeah. So and then I pursued my master's for education, and still working in education.
That's a really cool road though, right? Like to get all those different experiences and follow kind of the same things your dad did and just always pursue the next thing, right? Always like furthering and bettering. And if there's if I can get this degree and just keep, a lot of us, I think we go to school, we get our degree and that's it, right? Some may go on to get a master's. And I mean, some of the people who do master's degrees, they do it because they don't know what they want to get a real job in, right? They're just like, I'll just go to school for another 2 years,
right.
and then maybe even another one. But it's really neat to see, listening to your story, to do the same thing as kind of dad did, and just furthering your education, continuing, and because the more you learn, the more you can give back.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And you mentioned you've always kind of had that giving mentality. Where does the entrepreneurial side of things weave in? Because you just mentioned you were, teaching and working, and now
right.
you have your own thing.
Right. So I'm doing both. So I'm doing Boss Mom Crew as well as I am a school principal at a local school here. Yeah. So it's a balance of both. Like I said, my dad has his nonprofit, so seeing that as well. And then ever since I was a child, I had little business things. I mean, I literally was a professional babysitter. Got my babysitting license through Red Cross. Had some professional cards. So I've always wanted to, have that and have my own thing. I guess ever since I was little. So yeah.
That's like you sound like a very busy human being, right?
Kind of. Yeah, just a little bit.
But it doesn't sound like it's work to you. It sounds like you love it. So it's like, even though if someone looked at your schedule and was like, whoa, you do a lot. You're like, yeah, but
that's
it's really
exactly.
not.
That is, thank you for saying that. Yes, I do. My schedule is a little bit on the busy side. I mean, I am also a foster mom. I am a wife. I am a mother to my daughter as well. I'm a school leader, and then I have Boss Mom Crew. Yeah. So, I mean, I do wear many hats, but it's really good when I have like very great family members to support. And I guess I do thrive in being busy. Yeah. So.
Well, you mentioned being a school principal. What's that like?
It's fun. It's fun and it's rewarding. I work at a school that has it's an early Head Start school for 0 to 3. So basically, the whole goal is to help the children be where they need to be when they start public school, because studies show that children in poverty are significantly behind when they start school. So we are literally, within the name, giving them a head start with teachers who have bachelor degrees, with different things, different wraparound service with the children and families to help them so that when they do go to school, they're where they need to be.
Always giving back. I love it. I love where this is going. So tell me then about Boss Mom Crew and like how that happens. And I know, like you just mentioned, the one of the reasons is because Mum kind of put her goals and everything to the side to raise a family. And something in you says, well, why not? Why can't we do this? Right? Like all great entrepreneurs can think, why not? Rather than, oh, okay, we'll just take it. And that's always the way it's going to be. Right. You decided not to, and decided, hang on a second, let's develop something, a community. While you have a job, you can develop this side hustle, quote, side hustle as your own thing. And you've done a great job of it. Like, you have a great social media following, you post awesome content, you get it. I think there's not many people who are mothers that have kids and are busy that still invest time in social media and understand it as well, right?
Well, the pandemic helped when we were at home with working from home and stuff like that. Right. So, I was able to YouTube a couple things and figure things out a little bit. Yeah.
But so when does it start, and what is the whole like mission statement and goal from day one? Yes.
So it started back as a mom, I entered into motherhood in a non-traditional way. So through foster care. So my husband and I have been foster parents since 2016, and got our first placement of kids in 2016. So, my background in education, I even teach child development at TCC. I am that person who knows early childhood, right? But having my first placement and having our first kids, like, people were telling me, oh, it's different when you have your own. I'm like, no, it's not, but yes, it is. It's totally different. And it's crazy because I know this may sound insane, but I did not know how much of myself I had to give as a parent. So I'm like, wait a second, why am I waking up at 7? Oh my gosh, the kids are up. I can't sleep in. Oh goodness. Oh my gosh. Everything's wraps around the kid, Right. And I was talking to someone about it. I was like, why did I not know this? And they're saying a lot of times when you're pregnant, you get to get the mindset and get like ready for that. I didn't do that. I literally jumped in, had a 5 and 6 year old, and went from there. So starting on that journey, I did feel a little bit of depression and a little bit of, like, oh my gosh, like, does anybody understand what I'm going through? Like, I'm trying to lead a school. I'm trying to do all this. I'm trying to do all that. And it just feels like a lot of the balls were dropping. I wasn't able to perform at like 100% like I normally like to do.
Yeah.
So, then my friend circle was changing. Like, it was getting smaller because they're going out and doing things. And I'm like, I can't. I got kids. I got to do this. So that's kind of like where I was like, I need to find something for me. So.
And then you think, I need to think of a cool name, and it comes up, and and start social media. Like, when did the social media start?
Okay, so this was 2019. So I then began to look and see, first off, like, okay, is there something out there for me? I need something for me as the mom. So on my journey of searching, I was only able to find things that were focused on like the kids. So it was like mommy groups that's like, this is how you get toddlers to sleep. This is how you do this. I'm like, okay, that's great and all, but what about me?
Mama needs to sleep.
Like, mama needs something. So on my search for that, I wasn't able to find it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create something like this, and I did, and it launched February of 2020, and that's kind of how it happened.
By using social media, you get the word out and your friend group, and it just kind of grows, and you be yourself, and your bubbly personality, and yourself, and you tell everyone, these are my experiences. And sharing experiences is huge, especially among parents and mothers as well.
And one of the biggest things, like, Boss Mom Crew is all about community connection and uplifting each other, because we know, like, this mother journey is difficult, like, especially trying to balance like career, motherhood, spouse, stuff like that. Like, it can be a lot, so with Boss Mom Crew, when we launched, I mean, it's so crazy, the timing, because I was going to have my first event here at Co-working Bravely, and then 2 weeks later the city shut down, and it's like, so I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I literally had to shift and go virtual, so glad that I did, because it was just so crazy with the timing, because everybody was quarantined, everybody's at home, everybody's on their phones, and doing a lot of more social media things. So I think that kind of helped get the word out there. It's like, oh, we're here with these kids, we're locked in. Oh, this community has some information for us. Oh, these are some great tools. This is some great interviews and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and then I guess it kind of took its own way and just took off, right?
I guess. I mean, we have about 13,000 people in our community, which I'm very grateful for, and it's worldwide. I mean, I'll get messages from people from Australia, like, thank you for creating this space, and Thailand and all these other places. I'm like, oh my gosh, and it just warms my heart to know that, like, I'm not alone, because I created this to fill a void within myself, and that I'm able to help other moms with this journey of being a mom.
Right. And you use them as a resource too, right? Because then you're all learning and you're all sharing, and like, I mean, I'm not a parent. I have 2 dogs, and I'm happy that, like, with the dogs at the moment.
It's different when you have kids.
I'm sure it is. I've been told, and we're not even on the radar of having children, because I'm very selfish. I enjoy my time, and so does my wife. Yes. But I love that, like, you mentioned it's worldwide, and you probably didn't expect that, because the power of social media, and when you get that first message and so you look at where they're from and you think someone's from Thailand or Australia,
right?
What? Like, different time zone, halfway across the world.
Crazy.
Like, but you have that common connection.
Yes, and that's one thing, like, I love, and that was one thing that I wanted to do, was be able to connect people who may have normally not connected. So for our in-person events we have here in Tulsa, we have engineers, we have lawyers, we have teachers, we have entrepreneurs, we have people who sell candles, their own candle shop, and we have them being able to cross paths and have conversations and have that same thing that they have in common, which is being a working mom. It's a struggle. I mean, we need each other. How are you doing this? Oh, here's some things I'm doing for that. So, and then different races too. I mean, me being an African-American woman, it is so important for me to do what I can to help create unity, especially with, things that are going on, in the world. So when I'm able to bring everyone together, in unity and create a space to say, hey, we're different, but we're also the same with this, So I'm just so grateful for it.
It must be so interesting to hear all the stories and bringing, you've created this melting pot of culture, right, of working mothers that all come from different backgrounds. And in their culture, being a mother might not necessarily mean you need to work. They might be back to what your mother was, right? It's like you're here, your job is to take care of the family.
Right.
Whereas in the States now, it's more about, no, like you have more rights and you should have more rights and you get paid more or whatever, It's totally different wherever everybody is around the world. But you've created this center that everyone comes to talk about it, right? And everyone's different. Everyone's culture is different. Wherever they grow up is different. And, even like the one thing that still drives me nuts, even though I'm not a parent, is like the maternity leave parents get back home in the UK is one of the highest in the world. And out here, it's like, oh, you get how long?
Yeah,
what? You're already back in work?
Just a second.
Which again is just like, I know. Still can't, as a man, I can't wrap my head around that. I can't imagine what it's like being a mother.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have this, you have all these things that you can relate to and people can bounce back and questions and no doubt you've created a big following over such a short time because it's clearly of value to people.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because a lot of us, I like that you mentioned like certain people like don't work or do work and do things like that. But one thing I like to preach and talk about is like, don't put your dreams and aspirations to the side because you have children, but that should be the reason why you go for it. So I preach that because a lot of us women and a lot of us moms, like we put ourselves on the bottom of our to-do list. Kids are first, everything's first, and it's like, oh, I'll get to me later, and then with that mindset and doing that, it's like, how are you going to pour from an empty cup? Like you cannot be your greatest self at work. You can't be your greatest self at home. Because you don't have much to give. Like you are depleted. Yeah. So I am really big on talking about self-care, putting yourself on the top of your own to-do list. And so that's one thing with our mix and mingles that we have monthly. I like to say, give yourself a round of applause, mamas, for, doing this, for coming here, for, getting out of your normal 9-to-5 day and doing this for you. So because it's super important to give ourselves some me time. Yeah.
So since launching this, you said February of 20, right? 20. Since launched this February, so it's been, not even a year yet. Right?
It's a year.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
yes.
I'm terrible at math.
No.
You've been in it over a year, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest kind of like aha or surprise from this last 18 months? Or longer. 20 months.
My biggest surprise was how many people can relate and felt like they needed this community. I was not expecting this to be where it is now, to be honest. I was like, hey, it's going to be something local with Tulsa moms, just little events and things like that. But when I saw like so many other people coming and messaging me and all these great things, I was like, wow, like I am so grateful and proud that that I'm able to create a space like this, because I thought it was just me. I'm like, am I the only one feeling like this? Obviously not. Yeah. So being able to create this space and how big we have expanded in such a little time was very shocking and phenomenal. So,
and then another thing, people might be wondering if they're thinking of starting their own kind of community. From day one, it sounds like that it was just, hey, I want to create a community just so we can share experiences. Not this is going to make me a millionaire, right? Like, but to that point, have you monetized? Do you do that? And then how was that decision? Where did that come about? If you do monetize?
Yes, so I monetize with our monthly events. Okay, we have like a big event coming up on Tuesday, which will have about 100 people, and then we'll be launching our chapters very soon. So I'm also working with a lawyer with all this stuff, but chapters will be in different places. Since we are, having people from all across the nation and the world, chapters is going to be the next step so that we can be more intentional with our relationships, grow those relationships within the chapter. And it's also going to have things like speakers, different kind of tools, for motherhood, for business, for self-care and things like that. And then as well as this fun events, that focuses on the mom.
Like a structured curriculum then?
Kind of. So,
or resources, like
yes, resources. So my goal is that, within our membership and within our chapters, we have different people who have different strengths. So, hey, I'm an accountant. I know this. I'm a lawyer. I know this. So giving them the opportunity to teach what they know to the community, people will be able to sign up for that, and that'll happen like quarterly, and then we can open up to the bigger community, and that can be something on their resume that they had, things like that. So
to that point then, what is, I guess, the dream and the goal?
The dream and the goal. And it's so funny because Mike he was our first person to write an article about us. So it was so cool. And I kind of look back on the article and I was like, my dream and goal is this, and this, and we're still striving to that. We're still striving for that. So I'm excited. But the dream and goal is to have chapters worldwide, as well as being able to have yearly conferences that people come to worldwide with keynote speakers like... I'm gonna speak big like Michelle Obama or people like that, and to talk to and inspire our community. Yeah. So. And
there's no doubt it can't be.
Oh, well,
right?
Thank you.
Like I mean, there's no,
that's the goal.
Plenty of people to relate to you, right?
Yes.
There's enough mothers out there that can relate, and even though like you have a big following in a short amount of time in the social media world, in the grand scheme of things, there's so many people who don't know about it yet, which is good for you because there's so much potential for growth. It's just like you said, finding the foundation and having the time and putting into it, and at the end of the day, you are what you created. You are a working mother, and you have a bunch of other hats, right? So you have the same struggles as everybody else, rather than and to that point, you couldn't relate to everybody if you didn't,
right?
Right? Because if you created this and you were like, I'm I'm just a mom, and like I don't have kids, but I just want to create this because I want to feel it. It's not going to happen the same way.
I created this for me first. I was like, I need a community for me. Anybody else want to join me? Yeah. And then others did, and it's like, oh wow, we need this community. I'm again grateful and very shocked and very excited for where we are and where we're going to be.
Yeah. So you mentioned having events, and you said the first one was supposed to be, and then COVID happened. Tell me about then that first in-person event and just kind of how that went, but also how you felt as someone who's throwing that event. Yeah. Because a lot of people go to events, they feel great, but they don't understand what the person goes through when they're the one putting that event on.
So of course you're hoping people would come. You're like, okay. So, and I was grateful. We had about 40 women to come, and we were at Sultana Steam downtown. So that was where we had our first in-person event. And it was really, really good. I mean, my heart was just warm seeing like the vision come to reality, seeing the moms talking and hearing those conversations. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm going through this. Oh, have you tried this? Have you talked to this person? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. This is wonderful. This is what we need. This is what us moms need. This is what I need. So it was great. And we started. Well, that was our first mix and mingle. Let me say, our first event was in May. Our first in person, and it was our Mother's Day picnic. We had about 35 people there, and we were at the Tulsa Botanic Gardens, and it was great. It was just nice for us to just see all these women. Just again, I'm really big on us praising ourselves, praising mom for all that we do. Right. So that was our way of saying, hey, mama, you're important. Yeah. You're worth it. Let's have a lunch or a picnic to celebrate you.
Yeah. So, and then you mentioned the event that's coming up Tuesday, which when this goes out, which will be tomorrow. Tell me about that event and kind of what's going into it.
Yes. So we're having our first annual Moms Giving event. So basically what Moms Giving is literally a Thanksgiving seated event that is focused on the mom. Yeah. So it's not just moms going to be there. They're moms, they're non-moms, they're mother figures there to just celebrate the mother. So this is just a time where we just want to have a sit down dinner. It's going to be 100 women there. And we're just going to say, hey, mom, it's kind of the same thing as what we did in May. You're important, you're valued, and this is a time to celebrate you right before the holiday season happens, where we literally are not number one. We are getting everything ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all those things. So it's just a pause to say, hey, Mom, you're important.
Yeah.
Focus on you. Hooray, hooray. Now go ahead and, handle your business for holidays.
Yeah, yeah, because you're not going to be able to sit down for the next 2 months because you're super busy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my mum was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of blame my mother on my bad cooking because she was so good and I didn't teach me how to cook, and she was always there and did everything for me. She was a great mum, which made me a bad cook.
Yeah.
But maybe she'll listen to this, so sorry, Mum. But no, you're right. Like, there's so many things that over the holidays that mothers do, right? And even as entrepreneurs, like, there's things that the holidays are like our busiest times. But if you're a working mum, or you're an entrepreneur and you're a mother, like that's not easy at all.
No, I mean, those who are non-moms, you kind of think about it like this. So holiday season coming, we have photos to do. We have cookies to make. We have all these wonderful events to do with the kids. We got to put them on Santa's lap. We have to come up with, what Santa's going to look like, and Elf on the Shelf, and all these different things that come with being a mom during the Christmas season. Yeah. So, it's a little busy. And the gifts.
Yeah, always the gifts. Yeah, and trying not to slip up to say that Santa's not real.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and trying to figure. I always wondered how my parents figured out that age where to tell me, like.
Yeah,
anyway,
we got to figure it out. My daughter's 10, so I'm like, my husband's like, I think she's too old. I'm like, maybe we need to let her know. But the Santa thing is funny because you forget which one Santa bought. So you're like, oh, I got that. I thought Santa did. Oh no, you're right, baby. Oops. Trying to figure that out and remember.
What always used to get me was like my mum and dad would obviously get something for me. They'd hide it so well that they would forget it, and I'd get it like 6 or 7 months later. I'd be like, oh, I got this for you, and I'm like, I think I asked for that for Christmas. Wow. And then they finally told me, like, oh, yeah. Like, and it kept happening, too. And they told me that Santa wasn't real. And, like, 6 months after Christmas, I'd get a present. They'd be like, oh, yeah, we hid this. So we forgot, like, thanks, Mom. And Dad, too. But to that point, like, Christmas is coming up and I'm going home for Christmas. And I was just remembering, like, what it was like as a kid, right, growing up with Christmas. And my dad used to, like, make like fake snow. I have a younger brother, and it was my job to not tell my brother that Santa wasn't real, so I had to keep that. But I always remember my dad like making fake snow and like using his boots as in Santa's footprints and stuff. And I'm like, and like the cookies and carrots for Rudolph. I mean, Christmas is the greatest thing ever. I hate Christmas music, but Christmas is the greatest time of the year, right?
I love Christmas music. I'm already playing it in my office, so you may not want to go there.
As long as it's not Mariah, I'm good.
That song
Mariah's
is a little bit overplayed, but it's all right.
Definitely. So finishing up then, obviously the event's tomorrow, big in-person event, 100 people at the annual event that you're going to throw. You mentioned, though, having speakers come. Yeah. And the goal, obviously, is to make this big and have, like, Michelle Obama come and whoever else. But between now and getting Michelle Obama, who I guess are some kind of local Oklahoma mums that you would love to have speak that maybe, I don't know, on the news, celebrities have some influence? Like, there's got to be that. Who's next on the ladder to try? Oh, if I can get this person over, I've kind of hit that point, and then we can go from there.
I would love to have... what is her name? Let me think. Pioneer woman.
Yeah, Ree Drummond.
Yes. I would love to have her. I actually reached out to her because, knowing me, I just keep going.
Yeah, okay? Of course.
There's no limit. So I reached out to her to see if she could be one of the speakers. I think she might be a little busy, so she didn't write me back. But so that would be great to have her.
Yeah. I want her on the podcast too. So whoever gets there first will have to help each other out. But no, you're right. Like, and just a few that came to mind. Like, I mean, there's plenty of women that are super impactful that are mums, and the Hall of Fame, who are a great sponsor of the podcast. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame induction ceremony is next Thursday in Tulsa. So there'll be plenty of people and past Oklahoma Hall of Famers who are mothers, and I mean, obviously Carrie Underwood's a huge one. Like there's an abundance. One of the big kind of real estate.
I messaged her too, by the way.
Oh, I have as well, multiple times.
Just waiting. I think she's just a little busy though.
There's another lady who you may not know of. Her name's Mo Anderson. She created. She was like part of like starting Keller Williams Real Estate. She's from Edmond.
Oh wow.
She's like late 80s, complete rock star. they call her the Velvet Hammer because she's the nicest person ever, but she's very powerful with her words.
Wow.
And so that might be one to reach out to because I think she'd be great and wrote a great book.
Alfre Woodard is another lady. She's an actress, been in a lot of things, and I would love to have her. I know that she came for Juneteenth here, and I mean, she would be phenomenal to have.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What about outside of having a community and it being online? Do you have a book coming? Are there any plans for anything else? Like what kind of stuff do you have in the goals list?
Yeah, a book. I have not thought about a book really. With being so busy, I haven't stopped to think for things like that. But like I said, I'm going to be launching the chapters very soon. So my focus will be on that. I do have an assistant that's helping me with a lot of different things. She's my virtual assistant. And like we're just getting all the nooks and crannies together, the I's dotted, the T's crossed to be able to launch the membership. So that would be the next thing.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So for everyone listening, how can they get involved? How can they follow you? How can they participate, ask questions, answer questions, and I just guess be a part of Boss Mom Crew?
Yes. So we're on social media, of course. Facebook and Instagram at Boss Mom Crew is us. And you can go to our website, which is bossmomcrew.com, and email me if you like at info@bossmomcrew.com.
Awesome. And if you're listening to this and you have a podcast and you want Danielle on your podcast, you should definitely reach out. And you can come and record in this amazing co-working space that we're in, and we want to thank them for having us. It's great. But for everyone listening, I'll post the links to Danielle's Instagram, social media, and website. You can go check that out, and wish you all the best for the event on Tuesday. It's a big thing.
Thank you. I'm super excited. We have Kim Jackson from News Channel 8 being our keynote speaker, and we are also partnered with Martha's Foundation. We do a nonprofit partner a year, and they focus on teen pregnancies and teen moms. So we'll be giving them a special gift at the event.
Awesome.
Yay.
For everyone listening, like I mentioned, I'll post the links down below, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers.
All right. Thanks.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.